What up, everybody? Welcome back to Comically Boston, episode 30. Can you believe it? We are already 30 episodes into this video log series, podcast, whatever you want to call it. We're talking shit. We're doing our thing. We're talking the Celtics, which is the Boston side of things. We're talking Marvel. We're talking DC, which is the comic side of things. We're talking comedians, which is Comically. We're talking everything, baby. We're talking today. We're talking what the Celtics look like this week. We're facing the Pistons on Monday, which is tonight. Philly on Wednesday, Hornets Friday, and then the Grizzlies on Sunday. That's a busy week. 4 games. Luckily, no 2-game spaces, no back-to-backs. One night in between. So we get game rest, game rest, game rest, and that's how you want it to be, baby. So we'll check in more with that later this week and see how they're doing. Well, they had a tough loss recently against the Suns on Friday night, so they had a couple of days in between their game on Monday, so hopefully they're coming in fresh legs and they're going to beat up that team. The Pistons are only 14-40, so they gotta win some games, and hopefully it's not going to be against the best team in the league, the Boston Celtics. Last night, Sunday night, was the premiere of episode 4 of The Last of Us. Please hold my... Oh, wait, no, it's Please Hold to My Hand, which I believe is a lyric from the Hank Williams song, which is from the game, but also was in the show last night. I loved the part where, from the game, we thought they were going to skip it from last week to this week. Because they're changing things from the game to the show. Like, in the game, they went to Pittsburgh, and they, run into these guys, and they end up getting hit by a bus, and then crash into a store. The guys take them out of the car and start fucking with them. And then they brutally beat these people to death, and then shoot everyone and kill them in the game. In the game, you go on like a 50, 60 person murder spree in Pittsburgh, and then Joel gets hurt, and Ellie picks up his gun and shoots a guy in the face. Joel gets mad at her. In the show, they get to Kansas City, which it doesn't really matter where they are. It just matters what happens when they're there. And they pull up, and Joel stops, and the guy's like, help, help. And she's like, we're gonna help him? He's like, put your seatbelt on. He ain't even hurt. And the guy's like, oh, fuck, starts shooting at him. They ambush him. They start throwing shit at him. And Joel crashes into a laundromat, tells Ellie to hide. Ellie's like, oh my god, I have to trust Joel to help me. Joel kills 2 people, then gets flanked by the 3rd. And Joel's in trouble. He's about to get choked out, and Ellie has to come from the closet, or the little cubby hole that he told her to hide in. And she didn't hide, so she's like sitting there, and she like comes back out, and she's like nervous, and she shoots the guy, and she's like, she's like shocked about what she did. But in the game, you kill people, and sometimes they look and they're like, please, please, and then you just kill them real quick, and like, it doesn't really happen. But they really humanized the victim so much. Poor Brian, the guy that got shot in the back, he's like, come on, my name's Brian, what's your name? Here's my knife, it's a nice knife, we can survive together, we could trade, we got things, just trade. My mom's probably close, can you get me to my mom? He's like freaking out, he's dying, he's a kid, he's not like Ellie's age, but he's more like probably my age, he's probably in his 20s, like he's a young dude, and he's just living through an apocalypse, and Fedra now doesn't run the QZ like in Boston. The QZ got taken over by these hunter people, and in the game the hunters are just an obstacle. Like I said, you just wipe out 50, 60 of them in the game and just keep moving on. You don't even think twice about these fuckers. The whole time they're just like hunting you down, like, where are they? It's a dude, he's a killer, he's with a little girl, and you're like, oh, okay, whoa. But this week's episode, man, was just super good. Like, you got time for them to bond, and Ellie's asking questions, and she's telling jokes out of her joke book. The fucking one had me dead, where she was like, what did the Scarecrow get rewarded for? And Joel just kind of like turns around like he's about to look at her and be like, shut the fuck up. And he goes, for being outstanding in his field. And she's like, you dick! Oh, you motherfucker! You read the book! And he goes, no, and he's like laughing to himself, like... Pedro played that so funny. I really like Pedro and Bella together. They're really making me laugh, and I love the acting they're doing together. And the showrunners, the guy that did Chernobyl, Craig Mazin, and Neil Druckmann, they friggin' killing this. This show has just been so friggin' good. But so then they crash. Joel kills the two people. Ellie shoots the guy, Brian. He starts crying. He's like, oh, I can help. And Joel's like, he has a chance to console Ellie. She's like clearly shook up, and he just goes, go back over there. She runs away, hides, because she knows like what needs to happen. She could have been like, let's just leave him, like she could have been the voice of reason, but she just didn't. She just hides, and she starts crying in the closet, just, like wipes him off real quick as you hear Joel just stab the guy in the fucking chest. And she's like, like, oof, like just so heavy shit. But at the end of this episode is some wild stuff. But through the middle, you start meeting this lady, Kathleen, and she's played by Melanie something. I said it in the last episode, but I don't have it written down right now. But she plays the leader of the Hunters, Kathleen, and you hear her say, "This is Henry's doing." So who's Henry? Because that's not Joel and Ellie. So clearly, there's two other people that are out there in the field that are up to no good and messing with the Hunters, and the Hunters are now going out in full force, vans, tanks, trucks, things that say run on front of them, which is a change from the game. The one in the game was like a Humvee with a body strapped to the front of it with his legs cut off and he's tied to the hood, and they're like driving around shooting you with like a machine gun on the top. Bah, 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 bah. It's terrifying in the game. You literally just want to run away from it the whole time, but by the time you end up killing that guy, it's worth it. So this Kathleen lady, she is talking to the guy Perry. Perry in the show is played by, I don't remember his name, something Pierce, Jeffrey Pierce, I think. And he plays Tommy in the video game. Tommy is Joel's brother in the game. And Tommy is big character in the second game, much bigger in the second game, but he's a big character in the first game too. Tommy's the shit. But Pierce is playing Perry in this game, and he's like a military guy, and he walks Kathleen into a room, and you just see like this crater, like sunken in floor, and it's like, he's like, what the fuck is that? He moves in, and then it starts growling, and then the floor starts like moving, and it's like, what the fuck is that? Like, and he's like, we gotta do something about this. She's like, no, let's just leave it for now, and we'll go handle this other situation. He's like, what? And she's like, he can tell it's a bad call, but she's in charge. So he's like, all right, let's go handle the people, not this ginormous infected thing that could infect everybody. And that thing underneath the floor, I think everyone thinks, if you've seen the trailer for next week's episode, or you've seen the trailers in the beginning, I think it's going to be this bloater-looking motherfucker right here. And this bloater, like, in the tunnel. I don't know if they'll end up being in a tunnel, but it looks like he's on fire, and the wherever he was got set on fire, and then he's like charging to him, and Joel's like, run! So next week I think it's going to be a hell of an episode. But the end of this episode, Joel and Ellie, I like that in the game it seems like Joel's just this badass murdering dude that just cannot die, and he's just, on a killing spree, and he's just the badass dude that he is. You meet up with Henry and Sam in the game, and you guys kind of stumble in on each other, put each other at gunpoint, and then they end up being together, fighting against the Hunter people trying to escape. Henry is the older brother to Sam. Sam is the younger brother. But I love the world building. Ellie goes to Joel, hey, I noticed that you don't hear so good out of your right ear, and you're like hurt hand from punching the dude, and then I think he hurt his leg in the crash, so he's like limping up the stairs as far as he could make it up the stairs. That, like, I thought that shit was funny too. And then the joke about the diarrhea is hereditary, huh? It really runs in your genes. Like, shit made me laugh. But so Joel lays down glass, and Ellie goes, why are you laying down the glass? So I could hear it, so I could sleep, because in the woods, Ellie was like, are you sure we're not going to get, somebody's going to sneak up on us? And he's like, no, we're going to be safe. And then she goes, okay. And she like falls asleep because he's her protector, and he said it was going to be safe. But now he doesn't know if it's going to be safe, so he waits up in the woods all night protecting her, which is very cute. But so he's really got to get a good night's sleep at this point. He puts the glass down. He's like, we'll hear the glass, don't worry. And he initially lays down his left ear's up so he could hear the glass. He rolls over in the middle of the night. all of a sudden his right ear's up, he can't hear shit, and then all of a sudden you hear Ellie, Joel! Joel! Wakes up, and all he sees is this motherfucker pointing a gun at him with this red paint on his eyes going shh. And if you got a kid pointing a pistol at you going shh, this is not a good scenario. But if you're just somebody watching the game, that you could think that they're getting stuck up, or if you're just watching the show, you could think that Joel and Ellie are getting stuck up right now. They gotta fucking really be hankering for their life. You know, they gotta be like, hey, we'll be your prisoners. You know, like, but it's a dude and a kid and a dude and a kid. You know, so they end up relating a little bit, and they end up protecting each other. I don't know if the show will do the exact same, because they have been changing quite a bit. But in the game, Henry and Sam end up being close allies, and then a terrible fate happens for Sam, and then also a terrible fate for Henry in the game. I won't spoil any of those right now for the people that haven't seen it, but go play the game. Check it out on YouTube if you don't want to play it. There's gameplays and stuff. The story of the game is incredible, but the game, you are the characters and you're playing it. So the show has been incredible, but you're seeing the world building, and it's giving the characters, you know, a face, like the hunters, and giving Joel and Ellie the backstory and depth to the characters. You know, Ellie goes, she's not supposed to have that gun that she saved Joel's life for, and he's like, you know, you're too young for this. And she's like, I've killed some. It's not my first time killing somebody. And he's like, oh. And then he asks her later, what do you mean by that? And she's like, I don't want to talk about it. You know, so she's got like things she's not sharing with Joel, and he's not sharing things with her entirely. So there's like, they got their own little secrets with each other, but they're getting closer and closer. And, you know, what is Joel really supposed to say? Like, I see my dead daughter in you, and I'm trying to protect you and get that second chance of protecting somebody that I didn't get to do the first time around. It's tough, man. Joel's in a tough situation. But I think it was a beautiful episode. I think episode 3 was a love story, and it was much more beautiful. This was a shorter episode. The last episode was like, I think 80 minutes. I think this one was only 45. I thought it was supposed to be 55, so maybe some parts got cut or something. But 45 minutes, that's not so bad. And it was a quick little episode. I think the next episode will be hefty, and I think we'll be dealing with possibly that bloater. First time seeing a bloater from the game, it was with Bill in the high school. In the show, it might be with the hunters, and the hunters might be fighting. I think it might end up being the hunters are trying to fight Joel, and Joel's trying to fight the hunters, and either Joel and them will stumble in on where that bloater is and release it, and the bloater will end up being a problem for the hunters, and then they'll, you know, like the bloater will be in the middle and be the hunters and Joel, and they're both kind of fighting the bloater, because it's a big motherfucker, and I guarantee he's probably not alone. He's probably going to have a swarm of zombies as well. But you never know. You never know where they're going to go with this. But I do think next week we'll be seeing a bloater. We're going to see the Henry and Sam story. But they left this one on a cliffhanger. My mother was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. What's happening next? She's like, I was so excited for what happened next. All of a sudden they're just done? Oh, man. Yeah, like she was pissed. But I think that's it for this week. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Big Cam. At me on Twitter, at Big Cam YouTube, and at me on Instagram, BigCam12. I'll leave the links in the description below. Smash that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell for notifications if you're new, and if you want to get every one of these videos, go check out The Last of Us for yourself, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.